Friends, many SDA channels are not reporting on this, but I'm going to report on it right now, right here on this channel. And here on this channel, we share with you what is happening in and outside of the SDA church. Now, the PNG for Christ campaign ended some few days ago, and you know what happened? I'm going to share with you. Before the campaign or during the campaign, some pastors from the United States and from Australia, and I think from other parts of the world, went to PNG, that is Papua New Guinea, to support the campaign. And let us listen to a pastor who also went there and the testimony this pastor gave. So let's watch it right now. After that, I will add my thoughts at the end. All right, let's get into the video.
In the middle of a week on Wednesday, that was the Wednesday before, we had a prayer session. And can you imagine 10,000 people being spread in small groups and where we were all praying? All three churches were organized in such a way that we had church members that were going to get to know people who were there and just ask them what are their needs for prayer. And just the whole site was just praying, just all praying. And again, God at work. The first Sabbath, 140 people baptized. And that had nothing to do with evangelism that I was conducting. It was these people were previously prepared. Those are the ones that were baptized. The pastor on the right-hand side, the older guy, he's 79 years old. He was baptizing. Imagine 100 and something people to baptize. It's quite a task. And the pastor on the other side, that's Pastor Enoch. And there they were. Second Sabbath, 149 people baptized. Okay, let me interrupt your thinking now. Because some of you might be thinking that these people, some of them might have been just dunked. Can I just tell you, stop thinking that way, because that's not true. Retention rate within Adventist Church in Australia is not as good in Australia as it is in Papua New Guinea. Even though they have also a backdoor problem that people go out of the church, that is a fact. That's true, but not as bad as in Australia. Although we had so many people who wanted to be baptized and they were exposed to the gospel almost in fullness, the leadership of those churches were very careful, and they would say to me, hey, you're not going to baptize many of them. They are not ready. They are not ready. And I fully submitted to their will and wish, because they know what they're doing. And so those people who, they were genuine people who accepted Jesus Christ and who wanted to fully commit their lives to God. It was only the last Sabbath when we had people who were baptized from the mission. And there are probably 3 times more that are still going to be baptized. And again, I see an amazing work of God. I was talking to them, to the pastor of a church, and he says to me, look, you may think that it is easy for us to find people and to preach the gospel. It's not easy for us. For us to have maybe 30, 40 people in a year to baptize, it's a big success. It's a big success. So what was happening here in PNG for Christ was unusual. That man that you see there, he's an elder of Lutheran Church. And this one, he's a mayor of Miles District. And we baptized him, and he gave a beautiful testimony that day. The one that you see on your left, Anglo-Saxon look, okay? That's Pastor Ben Ray. He's from Coffs Harbour. He was preaching in a prison, high security prison. For the first time in the history of PNG, they allowed somebody to come to high security prison to preach to the prisoners. That never happened. So they get a permission to go and do that. 150 prisoners were baptized. People also from the community were around, outside the prison walls, and they were also listening to the message. The person that you see, okay, on your left, behind Ben, that's a pastor of Pentecostal church. Him and the whole church became Adventists. And that's our boss, huh? So Pastor Ted Wilson was there. He came to lay. And the biggest thing for me was that I saw him as a pastor who is sharing the gospel of Jesus with others. And he had his own site, and it was so good to see that. He had his 75th birthday. We sang a happy birthday to him and had a lunch with him. This man here, and I'm finishing soon, is Roy. He's from the Union Office, and he was collating a live data that was coming from all around Papua New Guinea about in terms of attendance, children, youth, adults, baptisms, and every day he would come to give us an update. Now, let me give you the latest statistics and take a photo of this. Here it is. Approximately 3 million people attended PNG for Christ. Really? Physically.
Serious?
Okay, 3 million people. Out of 9 million people in Papua New Guinea, 3 million attended.
That was so great.
That's historical.
Serious, that's true.
52% of the 2,300 sites in PNG have reported their baptisms, 278,369. Potentially around 500,000 people were baptized in PNG for Christ. And that's just the beginning.
Great,
Adventists have become now the largest segment of population, potentially, than any other in Papua New Guinea. Now here is a question. For me, this is Pentecost revisited, and the question I ask, if God did it in PNG, can He do it in Australia?
He can.
Look, that was a question that was at the back of our minds for all the preachers who were there, because we know that Australia is a hard nut to crack. And none of us were just being silly and naive to think that it's easy. And none of us, even though we were experiencing what we were experiencing and thinking in the back of our mind where we come from, none of us dared to think that this could be done in Australia. Do you follow me? But as I came back, I just started thinking more and more. Why not? Why not? Is it possible that something happened in our Western culture? And I really believe it has happened. The soul of a Western culture is kind of irrevocably damaged, as Christianity has been totally shunned. And the culture and the leaders of culture are taking us who knows where. And it's truly become a Babylon out there. Do you agree with that? Something about the soul of the Western culture is irrevocably damaged. And so many people understand that. And so many people, therefore, are turning to Jesus. turning to Jesus. Did God maybe use PNG in such a big way, the ends of the world, to start something in other countries that can be also strike a chord even in as secular society as is ours? So we can call it Australia for Christ.
PNG had a successful evangelism, and we give all the praise to God. He made it. God made it. All right? And friends, you know something? I have an issue. Because there is something that keeps happening after major campaigns. Or should I say major campaigns? No. There is something that keeps happening after every single campaign of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we need to address that, because if we do not address that, we will be working in vain. What am I talking about? You know, in every 6 or 1, or let me say 2 years after public campaign, you would go back to the local churches, and 1/3 or even half of the people who got baptized into the church are nowhere to be found. Yes, that is happening everywhere. I don't know if you have observed what I'm saying right now. If you have an experience, just put it in the comment section for us to know. That is what I have observed over the years, because I think some time past I was engaged in evangelism. You know, I was the executive secretary of one evangelistic group right here in my country called Announce, and we were traveling to places to win souls for Christ. And you know, 6 months or 1 year after evangelism, or after a successful campaign, you would go back to the places where you had the campaign, and you would find that almost half of the people who got baptized into the church are nowhere to be found. Yes, PNG campaign was successful, and we thank God for that. But after the campaign, what happens? What happens after the campaign? I think the same energy we put in public campaigns, we should put ×2 of that same energy in keeping the people we baptized in the church. Yes, I understand that sometimes people will get baptized into the church, sometimes leave, but it shouldn't be that many. All right? For example, if we baptize about 10 people into a church, and if even some will leave, I think it should be about 1 or 2 people. You baptize 10 people into a church, and you go there in a year or 2, and you would find that only 4 are right there in the church, or only 4 are remaining, 6 have left. Then it means that there is a work to be done. All right? So I am praying that this should not be the end. The pastors who moved from US and Australia and other countries into PNG to have these evangelistic meetings or campaigns should be visiting PNG from time to time. Let's say 6 months or 1 year, they should be going there to check, to support the pastors who are right there, to help keep the new baptized members into the church. Or else 1 year will come, 2 years will come, they will go back there, and they would find that half of the people they baptized have left. That is the truth that I'm speaking. I don't know if you have realized that in your local area. All right, friends. So we thank God for this big success. In fact, when I saw it, I was so happy that such a great number of people have given their lives to God and have joined God's church. Praise be to God. You know, we thank God for what He did in PNG, and we are praying that the same thing happens in Australia. The same thing happens in Australia, as they are planning to do that in Australia. Friends, this is all that I had to share with you today. And as you know, my name is Lawrence. See you next time. Thank you.